Hello everyone, my name is Dewey, and this is going to be a video that you could say is inspired by Zach's video. He did a video on the Media Cow's history, part 1, and he plans on doing more. Now, this is going to be a series, and in fact, it will be a series if you guys want to see more, and so let me know in the comments if you want to see more. It's going to be a series on my gaming life. Not just strictly the Media Cow's part, although the Media Cow's part plays a big part in gaming history of my life, but this is going to be my entire life of gaming history. So where we're going to start out is a lot younger. And the first thing that you guys should know is that my parents did not like video games. They thought that for the most part they were a waste of time and that I was too much involved in them. I'd spend too much time on these video games, and that's what they were afraid of. And so in order to combat that, they would ban them from my house. I didn't have a gaming console until I moved outside of my house, or what most people consider a gaming console, but whatever. We'll get into that later. I don't want to talk about that now. The very first moments I remember of gaming actually go back to when I was in grade school, and we'd have a computer lab every week. That's right. In school, we would literally go into the computer, like this area where they just had a bunch of like old apples. Like, I don't even know what version it was, but just really old green screen stuff, not, you got to insert the floppy disk and everything like that. So we'd spend one day a week in there, and generally we would just practice our typing skills. Now, at that time, I'd be like, what the hell is this nonsense? I don't want to worry about typing. Like, that's not something that I want to do. I wasn't very good at it. It was very much so like, kind of poking at the keyboard with my fingers. I didn't have the whole typing thing down. And I remember at the end of the year, you would have to pass this test where you'd be blindfolded and you'd have to type as many words as possible blindfolded. And at the beginning of the year, I'm like, what? Like, this can't happen. That's way too complicated for me. And keep in mind, I was like in 3rd or 4th grade or something like that. And so eventually, you practice, you get better. But really what got me better is they had these old games like Family Feud, Odell Lake, Oregon Trail, Oregon. However you want to say that, whatever. And so that's really what got me into typing faster, was the fact that in Family Feud, I had to type in that answer as quickly and as accurately as possible, so that way the computer wouldn't beat me. Or my friend wouldn't beat me, whoever's there. I don't actually know. Yeah, that's right, because you both have different buttons on the keyboard, and you'd press it first or something like that. Maybe that's a later version. I don't know. I can't remember. And so I started getting really good at typing with that, and I found that to be a great learning platform. I would go home and I would AIM with my friends, or MSN Messenger. Facebook didn't exist back then. Skype didn't exist back then. It was all about AIM and AOL, and so I would, go ahead and I would do that, and really through that, that's how I learned how to type so fast. Now, past from Odell Lake, and I really loved Odell Lake. That was just such a passion of mine. It's just, you just ate fish. You just ate bigger or smaller fish than you, and that's literally all you did in the game. But I liked it. Oregon Trail is scary because I died all the time. But so I lived in Minnesota, and we had these cousins that lived in Kansas City, Missouri, and we'd go and we'd visit them. When I was younger, it'd probably be like 5 or 6 times a year. And these guys, they had everything. They had like the big old like 20-inch screen TV, and they had the gaming consoles and everything. So I'd go there, and with my cousin Nikki, I would just play for hours and hours on end, as much as I could, because I didn't have really any friends here that had gaming consoles. So my only access to gaming was through my cousin, and so that's what I did. We would play. We would play GoldenEye, I think. And we'd do PvP, and he would just run around with the short dude, and I couldn't fucking hit him, and he would rape me to death, and it was terrible. And like my my only goal would be I would play with my sister. It'd be me and my sister on a team versus Nikki, and he's so good at video games. He's always like been better than me, and so I would go and I would attempt to find the rocket launcher, and I'd have my sister create a diversion. Like, hey, he'll go kill you, so you go find him and try to lead him away from me. I'm gonna go find the rocket launcher, and then suicide when he's around me, and that's the best way I could kill him. The only way I could pretty much kill him, because aiming, that's not happening. What other game? That's like Perfect Dark. Oh god, I love that game. We played that game so much. We played that a lot. I know I should try to play with him in single player and just be amazed at how good he was. And I mean, keep in mind that this is back in the day where literally this is the only gaming experience that I had, was when I went down there and played with him. So that was that was all I got. And then one time we went down there and we were leaving, and my mom's like, okay, all right, I'm gonna cave a little bit. Go ahead and give your cousin this $20 bill. And my mom gave me $20. I'm like, oh my god, do you know how many Pokemon cards this can buy? And she's like, go give that to your cousin, and he's gonna give you a Game Boy. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, I get a gaming console? I get this Game Boy? And so I went up there, and he was sleeping. You know, he was a teenager sleeping into like noon, and me being younger, I'm like, I can't understand. Why would you sleep past 8? You need to get up at 8. That's when your mom tells you to get up, so you get up. Or 6, actually. It's probably even earlier than 8. Jesus Christ. So I'd run up there, and I jumped on him like, here's your $20. Now give me my Game Boy. And he had no idea what was going on, because this was all arranged with our aunts, with my aunt and my mom. And so he gives me, eventually, he gives me the brick, like this big old Game Boy, black and white, huge, but it was a special see-through edition or something. I don't even know if that was like a special edition or if that was the standard one. But we got that, and so then I got to play that, and I think we had 2 games with it. One of them was like a soccer game, I think a PES game possibly, and I played that a lot because whatever the other game was, I didn't like it very much. Even though I played a lot of it, but that was because that was the only game I had, back then when, for me, the games were limited. That's all I played. And so I would play that, and I played that all the way back to Minnesota, and my parents are like, I'm sure, like driving back, and it's like a probably 7-8 hour drive, and when you have kids and stuff, and you need to stop a lot, it's probably actually more like a 12-hour drive, maybe even longer. And so the whole way up, my parents probably thinking like, oh, Jesus Christ, what do we do? He's never going to go outside. Don't worry, I still did. I loved biking back then. I'd go, and that was my only mode of transportation, and bike around with my friends and stuff. That's really what started gaming getting into my life. And then I started to invest in PC gaming. And my parents wouldn't let me have a console other than the Game Boy. The Game Boy was the limit. And so I had to make use of the PC gaming. And at first it was only like the reader games, the learning games. There's this, I can't even remember what it was called, but it was like this really, really cool learning game. It was like on snow levels. It was kind of platformy-esque, sort of. You'd go by, and there'd be like these snowballs that'd go over top, and you'd have to catch them. And then you'd go into like all these little mini games that would, teach you how to read, how to write, not how to write, how to type, math, like simple math, addition, subtraction, even some division, multiplication, scary shit. And so I would play that endlessly. We also had this dinosaur game. This fucking dinosaur game. Like when I was a kid, I was obsessed with dinosaurs, and I still kind of am, but not as much as when I was a kid. And this game was so fun. Like it was basically just like an encyclopedia of dinosaur knowledge, and you would go and you'd learn about dinosaurs, and you'd play all these little mini games. And then there's this one mini game that you played, and you had to rescue the dinosaurs from becoming extinct. Like there's a meteor that was coming in or something like that, and a dinosaur picture would pop up, and then you'd have to type and name it. And of course, being an old game, there was no like word correction or anything like that, so you'd actually have to type the name in correctly. And I played this a lot, and I hated it because I never saved those dinosaurs. It was terrible. Like, if you had, it was a countdown timer, and if you didn't do it in time, the world would blow up and all the dinosaurs would die. And so I, being, a kid, I didn't type very fast. And this is back in the day before, kids had Blackberries and shit in kindergarten. So I tried to type it as fast as I could, but then I'd never do it, and then the whole thing would explode, and then I'd start crying because I wanted to save the dinosaurs, but I couldn't. I think in like the corner of my mind, I thought if I could actually do this, that I would actually get to see dinosaurs in like modern day, which is Land Before Time, Jurassic Park, Walking with Dinosaurs, all those series. Like I have all of those. I loved all those. I watched them like endlessly, like constantly. If I could, I would be watching them. Although Jurassic Park was always like, I wanted to watch more of it. My parents are like, that's a little, it's a little scary. I don't know if you can watch that. You probably have nightmares, which I think I did, but I didn't care because that's how much I like dinosaurs. Anyways, this is not about dinosaurs. This is about gaming. So PC gaming. Eventually, I started to get more adult games. Stuff like Age of Mythology. Oh my god. That was a lot later. I think I'm skipping over some things. Because I know somewhere in there, what was it? I think maybe 5th grade, I want to say. I think 5th grade, I got a Game Boy Color Advanced. It has to be younger than that. I don't know. I can't remember. But my parents actually bought me a Game Boy console, and it must have been like 4th grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade. They bought me a Game Boy Color, and I got Pokemon Red. And there, to this day, there maybe the exceptions being Team Fortress 2, Guild Wars, and League of Legends are the only games I've played as much as I played Pokemon Red. We went on this huge, expansive trip from Minnesota to Washington, D.C., up to Maine, through Canada to Niagara Falls, and then back down Minnesota. And the whole time I played Pokemon... No, I didn't just play Pokemon Red. I did play a lot of that, but I also played Super Mario Brothers. And I beat that game, like, twice over. Because, you beat it, and then you can... There's like another set of beating that you can do. And that's basically all I did the whole trip. I mean, I remember a lot of the trip, or some of the trip. Like, if you look at pictures from the trip for me when I was young, it's just a bunch of pictures of me going like this, looking at my Game Boy in the car. And that's all I'm doing. And so, yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. I don't think my parents liked it that much. They started to see that, like, their whole theory about me just spending too much time in video games started to become a little bit more true. But at the same time, for me, I think they also kind of saw it as something that I was very passionate for. And at the time, like, I did not have great grades from, like, 4th grade on. Like, I was smart. Like, I could read anyone under the table, and I can almost read any. There's only like 1 or 2 people now that I know that can read better than me, which is, I need to increase my reading skill. But as far as like when it came to homework and that kind of stuff, I just never saw the point in it. It's like, I know the answers to all this stuff, but why do I have to like prove this? For me, that just never connected, and resulted in, do your homework, kids. Because it's easy, it's mundane work, but it's easy, and you get good grades, and then you can get good scholarships to college. I had to freaking apply for scholarships out the ass in order to go to college, and so that there's the whole story there. But anyways, so Game Boy, I got Pokemon Red, played it. I remember opening it on Christmas and just like, I didn't care what else I got. That's all I got. I was running around. My parents are looking through the manual, and this is back in the day when manuals were actually somewhat helpful. And because I'm like, how do I catch a Pokemon? I want to catch a Pokemon. I got Charmander, because Charmander's the best. Sorry, Raymond, but Charmander is easily the best. He's also the most challenging, too. So if you're a boss like me, you're gonna pick Charmander. Anyways, and I'm like, how do I catch more Pokemon? And then like the highlight of my week was us going through the Viridian Forest, I think is what it. Oh God, I hope I remember that right. I was going through the Viridian Forest, and fucking Pikachu popped up. And my parents had been looking at I had this nice booklet, like this big guide kind of thing that I held on to for I don't even know how many years, even though it's obsolete. But they're saying, oh my God, this is actually really rare. You're not supposed to find this. I'm just like, oh my God, I got a Pikachu. But I didn't have any Pokeballs at the time because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I'm just like sitting there. And I think I sat for probably 2 hours. Like, that's probably an overestimate. But I just sat there for a very long time just staring at the Pikachu at like 3 health. Like, I could catch this. I could catch this right now, but I can't. So this video is already 16 minutes long, and I didn't even go to as far as I wanted to go. I don't want to make it any longer, but if you guys want to see more, let me know in the comment section. Leave that like if you want to see more of my gaming life. I love talking about it, and I want to hear what your guys' first gaming experience is. Leave in the comments. Tell me what your guys' first gaming experience was, and maybe it'll remind me of something, and I'll get to share my enthusiasm with you. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.